Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling strange? Maybe you agreed to something you didn't actually want. Maybe you apologized even though you weren't wrong. Or maybe you started questioning yourself, wondering, am I overreacting? If that's ever happened to you, there's a chance you weren't simply having a normal conversation. You may have been manipulated. Now, before we begin, it's important to understand something. Manipulation doesn't always come from bad people. Sometimes people manipulate because they're insecure. Sometimes because they're afraid of losing control. Sometimes because they've learned unhealthy ways to communicate. That doesn't excuse the behavior, but it helps explain it. Also, no single behavior automatically means someone is manipulative. Psychologists don't judge people based on one moment. They look for patterns over time. So in this video, we'll explore 7 common manipulation tactics that research in psychology and communication has identified. The more you understand these tricks, the easier they become to recognize. Let's begin. Trick number 1. Guilt tripping. Imagine your friend asks for a favor. You're busy, so you politely say no. Instead of accepting your answer, they say, "Wow, I guess I know who I can't count on." Suddenly, you feel guilty. Nothing about your situation changed. Only your emotions did. That's guilt tripping. Instead of respecting your decision, the other person makes you feel responsible for their disappointment. Healthy people respect boundaries. Manipulators often try to make boundaries feel selfish. They may say things like, "After everything I've done for you, if you really cared about me, fine, I'll just do it myself." The goal isn't to solve the problem. The goal is to make you feel bad enough to change your mind. The best response? Stay calm. Repeat your boundary politely. You don't have to defend every decision you make. Trick number 2. Love bombing at first. This one feels amazing. Someone gives you constant compliments. They text all day. They say things like, "I've never met anyone like you. You're perfect. We're meant to be." It feels exciting. But here's the question. Is the relationship growing naturally or moving incredibly fast? Love bombing isn't simply being affectionate. The problem is the speed. The attention often comes before genuine trust has been built. Psychologists explain that intense affection can create emotional dependence. Once that dependence exists, the behavior often changes. The compliments become criticism. The attention becomes control. The affection becomes conditional. Healthy relationships grow steadily. Manipulation often moves much faster. Trick number 3. Gaslighting. This is one of the most well-known manipulation tactics. Imagine someone promises to call you. They never do. When you ask about it, they reply, "I never said that," even though you're sure they did. After enough moments like this, you begin questioning your own memory. Maybe I remembered it wrong. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. That's exactly what gaslighting does. It slowly makes people doubt themselves. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's incredibly subtle. The goal isn't simply to win an argument. The goal is to make you trust your own judgment less. One disagreement isn't gaslighting. Everyone remembers things differently sometimes. But if someone repeatedly denies obvious events, changes the story, or constantly makes you question reality, pay attention. Trick number 4. Playing the victim. We've all made mistakes. Healthy people admit them. Manipulators often avoid responsibility. Imagine confronting someone about something hurtful they did. Instead of discussing it, they immediately say, "I guess I'm just a terrible person," or "Everyone always blames me." Suddenly, you're comforting them. The original issue disappears. The focus shifts away from their behavior. Psychologists call this shifting the emotional spotlight. Instead of taking responsibility, they make you responsible for their feelings. This doesn't mean every emotional reaction is manipulation. Sometimes people genuinely feel hurt. The difference is whether they eventually return to the original problem. Healthy conversations solve problems. Manipulative conversations avoid them. Trick number 5. The silent treatment. Conflict happens in every relationship. Sometimes people need space. That's normal. But there's a difference between taking healthy space and using silence as punishment. Imagine sending a message. No response. You call. Nothing. Hours become days. Not because they need time, but because they want you to feel anxious. Eventually, you apologize, even though you weren't wrong. Silence became a tool for control. Healthy communication sounds like, "I'm upset. I need some time, but we'll talk later." Manipulative silence gives no explanation, only uncertainty. Trick number 6, creating false urgency. Have you ever heard someone say, "You have to decide right now. This is your last chance. If you don't do it today, you'll regret it forever"? Sometimes urgency is real, but manipulators often create fake pressure. Why? Because people make worse decisions under stress. Research in psychology shows that when we're rushed, we rely more on emotion than careful thinking. That's exactly what manipulation wants. If someone refuses to give you time to think, ask yourself why. A good decision usually survives a good night's sleep. Trick number 7, moving the goalposts. This one is frustrating. Imagine your boss says, "Finish this project and you'll earn my trust." You finish it. Then they say, "Well, now I need you to do this too." You complete that. Then another condition appears. No matter what you do, it's never enough. The finish line keeps moving. This creates constant self-doubt. You start believing you're the problem. In reality, the expectations were designed to be impossible. Healthy expectations are clear. Manipulation keeps changing the rules. Why manipulation works? Here's something important. Manipulation doesn't work because people are weak. It works because people are kind, because they care, because they want harmony, because they give others the benefit of the doubt. Those are good qualities. Manipulators simply take advantage of them. That's why learning about manipulation isn't about becoming suspicious of everyone. It's about protecting your kindness without losing it. How to protect yourself? The first step is simple. Slow down. Manipulation often depends on emotional reactions. The more time you give yourself, the clearer things become. The second step is noticing patterns. Everyone has bad days. Everyone says the wrong thing sometimes. Psychologists don't judge one conversation. They look for repeated behaviors. Ask yourself, does this happen often? Do I regularly feel guilty after talking to this person? Do I constantly question myself around them? Do I feel pressured instead of respected? Patterns tell a much bigger story than isolated moments. Finally, trust actions more than words. People can promise anything. Behavior is much harder to fake. Conclusion: the truth is, most manipulation isn't dramatic. It doesn't look like the movies. It happens in everyday conversations, small comments, tiny pressures, little moments that slowly influence your decisions. That's why recognizing these 7 tricks can make such a big difference. Not because you'll suddenly see manipulators everywhere, but because you'll become more confident in your own judgment. And confidence is one of the hardest things to manipulate. If you enjoyed this video, let me know which manipulation tactic surprised you the most. And if you'd like to learn more about psychology, human behavior, and the science behind everyday interactions, subscribe for more stickman psychology videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.